Hello, property nomads. Hope you're well. There is an oil boiler ban supposedly coming into place in 2026, and that's going to affect those that live in rural areas, but also if you're a landlord and you operate in areas such as East Anglia, Cornwall, or anywhere where you've got an oil boiler, it could probably affect you as well. The irony that we'll go into is that one of the people that are proposing this might be facing a backlash in their own constituency, and this draws into half the fun, and we're going to explore that in today's episode. So in a nutshell, what the government on their net zero sort of eco-warrior purge have decided to do is to propose phasing out oil boilers. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with oil boilers, if you live in a rural area, chances are there might not be any mains gas, and most people operate on mains gas. But chances are there might not be any mains gas, and you might have other alternatives, which would include bulk gas, so you get the big, like, massive canisters of gas, bottled gas, so like the big red, sort of almost like propane gas-looking things. You can have electric only, so you can have your storage heaters or your heat source pumps, etc. And then you've got oil boilers. Work like a normal boiler, except you've got a big, massive oil tank somewhere in the garden or the drive or something like that, and predominantly found in rural areas of England. So moving forward, what the government wants to do is to ban the installation of all fossil fuel powered heating systems by 2026. That includes oil boilers. So the purpose of this article is one of the, ironically, the environmental secretary, who is Teresa Coffey, great name. Her constituents over in Suffolk, where there's quite a few oil boilers, at the moment, they're going to be forced to replace their oil boilers with pricey heat pumps. Now, this brings in two things here. Number one, when we talk about politics, we talk about everything that's going on, it's votes, 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 votes. Now, I've been clear, and I've said that there's a Labour majority coming in 2024. I think that's when our next general election is. The Conservatives have shot themselves in the foot massively in the last 12, 13 years. So Labour's going to come in, I believe, anyway. Voters are voters. What will happen moving forwards when people are told not to have their oil boilers is they're going to be tried to change over to heat source pumps. Now, heat source pumps, I'm not a fan of, as you know, but the thing is they predominantly run on electricity. And if you have a failure on the grid, for example, and your heat pump stops working, you're screwed because you've got a single point of failure. That's not good at all. Who's going to fund all of this? If you live in the rural areas and you're not allowed to install X, Y, and Z, are you going to be forced to pay for your own heat pump? They're quite extortionate things to pay for. If you're not going to be forced to pay for a heat pump, then who's going to fund it? Who's going to fund all the local changes? Is that going to be the county council? If it is, where's the county council going to get the cash from? Chances are they're going to get it from Bank of England, Westminster. So we're going to have all this cash that's going to be printed in order to give to the councils to pay for them to install air source heat pumps and ground source heat pumps or whatever they might want to install. Who's footing the bill? You and I are going to end up footing the bill for this, not just our generations, but generations coming. And all of this in the drive of this crazy, daft net zero 2050. The minute you start digging into things and things start to become clearer, you realize and understand how crazy things are. And people are just having the wool pulled over their eyes. The government wants everyone to go to, in an ideal world, electric only. No more fossil fuels. We've got net zero to achieve. No fossil fuels for anyone. Unlucky. How's that going to be funded? for a country that's got, what, 27 million dwellings, more or less. How's that going to be funded? And secondly, probably it's fair to suggest that that would give all of us a poor standard of living. And what's this in the name of? Climate change. Just absolutely crazy, crazy, crazy. And the thing with environmental economics is it all sounds like an okay idea until someone gets the bill. That's like going to a Michelin-star restaurant. Everyone likes the idea of going, you have a good time, eat the food, you enjoy yourself, and then someone's got to deal with a bill at the end. Probably not the most pleasant part of the experience. It's the same here. So phasing out oil boilers, is it a good thing to do? I'd argue probably not, because the alternative isn't suitable. Trying to get everyone onto air source heat pumps or electric only systems creates a single point of failure, and chances are when you're living in rural areas, then the homes, most of the homes, not all of them, they might not be suitable for heat pumps in the first place. So completely crazy. I love the irony. It's the Environment Secretary that's going to be facing a backlash in her own constituency over these plans. And at some point, the government, I sincerely hope, will wake up and realise that net zero isn't going to work. This climate change stuff isn't going to work, and forcing people to switch from what's already working into something that's a bit more risky without having all the nuclear options and whatnot in place is what I like to call no bueno. So yeah, all part of the fun. If you do operate a portfolio in rural areas and you have oil boilers, please do bear this in mind. I'm sure this will chop and change between now and 2026, but again, it's just craziness is how I would sum this up. Just a reminder for people that listen to the podcast on Stitcher. Stitcher are no longer going to be in operation from the 29th of August. So if you do listen to Property Nomads via Stitcher from September, Stitcher are not going to be around. So please do go over to iTunes or Spotify or Podbean, numerous other platforms that we're on. Or alternatively, head over to YouTube, search for Property Nomads, like the YouTube channel, press the bell notification thing to subscribe to videos as well. Let's all try and stop this craziness, because it's just going to get crazier moving forwards. I'll see you in the next video.